Always I say that everyone has their ego and logo. And to be effective in collaboration, you need to put down your ego and your logo. There's an African phrase that say, if you want to go fast, long.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go far, go together. Because we understand collaboration and partnership is not inviting people to come to participate in what I'm doing. It's more than that. Is invite people to come and build something together.
Mm-hmm. Hello, my name is Gordon Scholl Rogers. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Faith Without Frontiers. In this episode, I'm joined by Paulo Feniman from Brazil. Paulo is a leader with Africa Inland Mission, and he's the chair of COMIBAM, a long-standing network that helps to mobilize Latin Americans for mission across the globe. Paulo shares how a teenage dream of becoming a missionary in Africa turned into a very different calling, helping to send and support thousands of others across the world instead. From prayer movements and unreached people groups to the growth of the Latin American church, this is a conversation about mission, collaboration, and learning to follow God when your plans change. Paulo Feniman from Brazil, thank you very much for joining me. I'm sorry there's this background noise of the strong wind. Maybe it's like the wind of the Spirit from Latin America joining us here in Southeast Asia where we're talking. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure, yeah.
And you, I know very little about you, having just met you, except what I can see online, which is quite a lot. You're with an Africa mission, or
Africa Inland Mission, yeah.
Yeah. So has a Brazilian component to that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a mobilized region in Brazil responsible for all South America. I have been working there for many years.
So your responsibility is try to encourage Brazilians to work in Africa.
Yeah. I stayed working under the Brazilian office for 26 years. Last year, I passed through one transition. I left from my role in Brazil or South America, and I became a collaboration director for same organization, AIM, Africa Inland Mission, but now working for the international office, helping to create more and more connection with Africa Church, Africa Mission Movement.
Okay. So that's giving you new insights into African ways of seeing life.
Yeah.
Have you lived outside Brazil ever?
No, in fact, then this is an interesting story because my wife and I, we came to AIM in 2000 as a full-term member. I served in 98, 99 as a volunteer because my background is in marketing and media. And when the AIM moved to my city, a little town, someone told me, there's a mission organization here. They need a lot of help in comms and media. Could you help them or maybe be a volunteer? Yeah, of course. So I love mission. I love Africa. If I can help, I will do that. So I stayed for 2 years as a volunteer. And then in 2000, we were praying, looking for God's direction, and we understood that God was leading us to be full-time missionaries. But with a focus to go to Africa. That was our focus. But that time, the director of the mission in Brazil told me, we are okay, we can send you to Africa, but can you considering to serve here as part of our staff in this comms area for maybe one term, 3 or 4 years? Okay, that's okay. God gave me this opportunity to serve or to work with comms for a few years. Okay, I would be happy to do that. And I start my missionary work serving the AIM Brazil in the comms department and
communication.
And then in the end of 2004, our director decided to leave for personal reasons, and we stayed a short period without anyone in that position. And then in March 2005, I got the invitation to be the executive director for AIM in South America. I usually just say God changed all the plans. And so Africa was not the possibility at that time. Okay, that's fine. And I worked for 20 years as executive director for AIM in South America, just mobilizing people, helping church to send in their people. And then last year, in fact, in 19, again, we were praying, and I had this clear understanding that, okay, it's the time to step down.
Just before the pandemic.
That's time to step down and looking for the next. Our passion for Africa is huge. So we were not thinking about to change the organization or doing other kind of a ministry in other place, but we want to something new. And then I called to my board and I told them, okay, I think this is my last term. My term was planning to finish in 2001.
Oh,
Okay. In
2019, you were still...
I called them and say, okay, this is my last term. I think you need to start the process to looking for the next director.
Yeah.
And they agreed. They say, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll start this process. We will see how we'll do that. And then
The pandemic
COVID
hit.
came, changed everything. And they came again and say, could you consider and stay for one more term?
Okay.
So last year was my last time as South America director. And then I got the invitation to be a collaboration director for AIM International. That is something that I really love to do. I have two passions in my life. First one is mobilization. I really love to help people to understand the God's call and helping them to grow on that and arrive where God is leading them to go. And the second one is collaboration and partnership. I really believe that God designed the church to work together. So I have been also involved with many different networks in Brazil and also in Latin America. It's a big umbrella for mission movement in Latin America, and also with the Brazilian Mission Association. That again is a network with more than 130 mission organizations. So since 2008, I have been involved with this networks and collaboration and partnership. And then when I stepped down from AIM for my mobilized role, international office called me and said, could you consider to be collaboration director and partnership director?
It fit your passion.
Yes.
So you were happy.
This is easy decision. So
Yeah.
that's what I have been doing with AIM since June last year.
Okay. We'll come back to COMIBAM because I'd love to know a bit more about COMIBAM. I've heard a little, but I'd love you to unpack it a bit because you're chairing COMIBAM.
Yes.
Let's go back a step to you said that you initially stepped into AIM from a marketing and media background.
Yeah.
What took you into marketing and media, and what does that mean?
Maybe I need to back a little.
Yeah.
So when I was 16, we received visitors in our church, different people from different organizations working different kind of mission ministries. And I was a teenager with no many information. All my family served the Lord for 2 or 3 past generations. And I saw that guys and say, this is what I want to do. I want to be a missionary. Have no idea what this means, but there you go.
You knew that.
I was 16.
It's really interesting how many of my guests their life direction was set in their teens. It's really interesting. We need to remember to work with teenagers, right? Yeah.
And I went to talk with my pastor.
Yeah.
So I told him, I want to be a missionary. Could you send me a mission organization? That time I was looking to go to IWAM. That's a place where youth go to be training and then serve.
To YWAM.
YWAM.
Yeah, Youth with a Mission.
Yes. And he said, oh, do you want to be a missionary? That's great.
Yeah.
But missionaries, not those ones that go to this or that organization. Missionaries, those ones that talking about Jesus, especially in place where they don't know about Jesus. We are starting a ministry or a church planting in a poor area here in our city. And there's a group going there to plant a church. You will go there. You will preach there. You will be a missionary.
Oh, that was wise advice.
I didn't agree the first time.
Okay, why didn't you agree?
Because I want to go to the nations.
You wanted something more adventurous.
Exactly. Well, 16 years old, but I went. I obeyed, and I learned a lot with the people there. After 3 years, we saw this small people coming as a strong community. Church was planted there. And then I was about 19. I went to the university to study graphic design. But at the same time, I was so impacted by our youth pastor. And then I thought to myself, I don't think so that I want to be a missionary. I want to be a pastor.
Okay.
And then I went to talk with my local pastor again. And I told him, I want to be a pastor. Could you send me to the seminar? And he told me, pastor is not those one that go to study theology or do this or this. Pastor is those one that care people.
Okay.
So you want to be a pastor? Okay, start to teach the teenagers in our church. They need someone to discipleship them. They need someone to teach them. They need someone just to walk with them. Again,
wasn't what you wanted to hear.
Not definitely, but I went, and so I started to be a leader, not with the title of pastor. I started pastoring them in somehow. And then I finished my degree in graphic design. And then I realized that, okay, maybe I don't want to be a missionary. Maybe I don't want to be a pastor. Maybe I want to be a rich people.
Okay.
And I don't need my pastor for that.
Okay.
That's where, when I start to work hard in graphic design and communication, so serving many different companies in my city. Even I lead some campaign for Coca-Cola in my city, was my big brand. But again, and then when AIM came to my city and I started to serve as a volunteer. But what made me to, I would say, back to mission was because our leader that time, he helped me to understand that even as a graphic design, you can serve the Lord in mission. I never realized that. And I'm talking about more than 30 years ago, that nowadays, media, internet, podcast, all this is common. But that time, we never talked about comms and communication. But that guy was a blessing in my life because he helped me to understand that God give you this gift. God give you the skills to work in communication. And you can use this to serve the Lord. This is how communication came in my mission call again. And then I passed through all this situation.
Yes.
But you ask about COMIBAM. COMIBAM started in 87 with a big gathering. Few leaders were meeting together before that to talking about collaboration, what can we do together. Latin America mission movement were so young that time. We had that time something happened in Brazil, in Argentina, in Mexico. But as a Latin America, we were very young movement. In 80s, in fact, when we were talking about mission, we were talking much more about receive missionaries in Latin America, not send Latinos to cross-cultural or overseas. But in 87, 16 years old, was the same time. I never heard about COMIBAM that time. Anyway, they brought about 3,000 pastors and leaders to São Paulo, and they had this huge congress in 87. And one guy, Luis Bush, he, in one of his sessions, he said, Latin America is not a mission field anymore. It's also a mission force. And this phrase changed everything, because after that, many pastors and leaders start to realize for many years we receive missionaries to serve and work in here. Now we have opportunity to send. And what we saw in 80s and 90s was this massive a number of Latinos going to serve in many different places, in many kind of different ministries. That's how COMIBAM started. And then we had other congress in 97, and then 2007, 2017, and last year we had our 5th congress in Panama.
This episode is sponsored by CrossMap. If you're looking for a place that fills your soul and strengthens your faith, then visit crossmap.com, your trusted source for inspiration and life-changing stories from people of faith. Do you have your own story to tell? CrossMap Blogs is a welcoming place to launch your own blog, publish your testimony in Christ, and share stories that glorify God and edify His people. And while you're there, sign up for the CrossMap daily newsletter and get top Christian videos, inspiring devotionals, and stories from other content creators to strengthen your faith, delivered straight to your inbox. Be encouraged, be a part, be blessed. Visit crossmap.com.
And we are celebrating what God is doing in Latin America.
Give us some examples of what God is doing in and through Latin America.
Yeah, we are almost 35,000 cross-cultural missionaries nowadays in Latin America.
Wow.
Most of them are working among the UPGs.
The unreached people groups.
Unreached people groups, yes. For example, we have a 27% of all our mission force working among the Muslim context in many different places, North Africa, Middle East, South Asia. We have 9% of our mission force working among the Muslim diaspora in Latin America. And then we have people working with Buddhism, Word, Hinduism, tribes. We're still having a huge challenge in especially in Brazil, for example, with indigenous tribes. But there is a growing process in terms of understanding the capacity of the Latin American church to send people and the mission movement growing. Just in Brazil, for example, that's my country, we have the Brazilian Mission Association, and we have 135 mission organizations as part of the association, working together, sharing information, sharing training, moving to different places. And from this 35,000 from Latin America, nowadays 22,000 is from Brazil. That's probably the biggest mission force in Latin America these days. So COMIBAM has this goal to serve the church in Latin America, helping the church to understand how they can be involved with mission, how God wants to use them. And we are trying to do this, connecting with the leadership, connecting with the church.
For those who are not familiar with this idea of collaboration and partnership and so on, may not realize how remarkable that is, that 135 agencies can work together in Brazil, that the numbers, the approximate numbers of cross-cultural mission workers from all across Latin America. What has been the secret to date of helping people across Latin America to collaborate in mission, to partner together? Because it's a really difficult thing to do often, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely it's not easy to bring people together to work together. So always I say that everyone has their ego and logo. And to be effective in collaboration, you need to put down your ego and your logo. But I think the reality for us is Latin America is a region where our economy in many different countries face a lot of difficulties. Because that, we realize that if we do few things together, if we join in a ministry together, we can be much more efficient in what we are planning to do. But also, I think this is the biblical principle here, because we are trying to respond to Jesus' prayer for his disciple when he said, I pray that they can be one. So that's what are leading us, because we recognize together we can do better. together we can go much strong. And also we are answering in somehow the Jesus prayer for his disciple and for his church nowadays.
Which he prayed just before he went to the cross.
Exactly, in John 7. And we have many good experience, many stories how church are moving together, how mission organizations are moving together. How we have this grow in terms of fruits on the field because people decide to serve and working together. COMIBAM is the platform for that. COMIBAM is the place where we just bring people together and helping them to connect each other. So COMIBAM is not organization, but is a movement. It's a movement of many different national mission associations, and we promote the sharing, we promote the unity, we promote the collaboration and partnership among the leaders.
So it's biblical to do that, to work together, and people have seen the benefits of working together around the world. Since 1987, there's been a lot of fruit and benefit from working together. Everybody is better off because helping one another, serving one another, working together. But Paul writes in Ephesians 4 that the believers in Ephesians should make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. And it was only fairly recently, maybe the last decade or two, that I realized that the fact that Paul needed to write that, make every effort, shows that it's actually quite hard work sometimes, isn't it, to maintain the unity of the Spirit.
There's an African phrase that say, if you want to go fast, long. If you want to go far, go together. So it's part of our nature, go fast. We want to do things. We want to move, but this is opposite what Paul is saying and what Jesus was praying for us. So go together is a lot of effort, because I need to realize that my friends and my partners, they are not in the same time that I am sometimes, or they are facing another difficult here and I'm not. So can I be able to wait a little bit, step back a little bit and say, hey, let's go together, do it together. And I think that there also this element. We have so many organizations, we have so many different churches, so many different ministries. We have our own goals, we have our own plans, and bring people together with their own plans, all goals, all money, and say, okay, let's put all this here and let work from the bottom. Because we understand collaboration and partnership is not inviting people to come to participate in what I'm doing. It's more than that. Is invite people to come and build something together. And that's why Paul is saying that, because this is not easy. And we have always this tension about who will lead, who will keep the power. So who define the rules? How you deal with that without God's grace and mercy, and humble hearts to recognize that I don't know everything. So I have many brothers and sisters that know much more than I, and I need them. This is not normal for
sinful people.
For people, yes.
Yeah.
So to recognize that I have my weakness and exactly where I need people helping. And maybe I know something and I can help some people.
Give us some examples of some of the biggest lessons you've learned from others in collaboration in mission.
Yeah. I think this area of training for me, in my experience in Brazil, was very strong. So AIM is not a training organization. We are a sending organization. We send people. But we were very worried about the quality of our people, what kind of a people we are sending. So we bring a few people together, leading mission training and Bible college, and say, this is what we do. We're sending people to this and this contest. We want you training them, but we don't have this capacity. We have we don't have a structure, we don't have capacity, even we don't have some knowledgement about specifically areas, and we want to come here humble and say, please help us. In our case, in our organization, was a blessing because we made a lot of a partnership with different organizations, and now we are sending to them. They are training these people. They are sending back to us, and we can see the fruits of this partnership here happening on the field, and how our people are well prepared to face the challenge on the field.
Let me take you back, Paulo, to your teenage years again.
Okay.
You went through a phase, maybe I want to be a missionary. Then you went through a phase, maybe I want to be a pastor. Then you went through a phase, maybe I want to be rich. Do you still want to be rich?
No.
Okay,
No,
why not?
This is something. I have everything that I need. God is providing, and I'm living, and my perception of things nowadays is if I don't have, it's because I don't need.
Okay.
Because God is my provider. So that's fine. I don't need to have everything that I want. God will give me what I really need. And we are living in this last 26 years by God's grace. God is giving us opportunity to partner with church, with families that understand that in this mission environment, their part is support us, to help us in different ways. And my big desire nowadays is obey God. I don't care about to have things or possessions or all these things. And I'm rich, in fact.
Okay.
Not in terms of money.
Wait.
I have been blessed about people that I met on this last 26 years, visiting places where were not a church before, and now we have a great community of believers. I don't think so that any kind of money in the world could be more important than that.
Again, we've got this background noise of this wind in our recording, and I'm thinking again of the moving of the Spirit of God around the world, the growth of these communities of faith, and that has been one of the things that has made you rich and excited you and continues to excite you?
Yes, definitely. And people sometimes is asking me, you are not the regret of never being in Africa as a missionary working there. And I say, I gave my life to Jesus. And I told him, you can direct me, you can lead me and by your Holy Spirit. And I don't know why. I'm not looking for answers in this way, but God changed something in 2005 when definitely he stopped at us and say, you are not going to Africa, but you will serve and help others to go. And now, again, God is saying, now you will serve those ones that are in Africa to do their ministry better, connecting them. I say that nowadays people ask, what you do? I connect possibilities with needs or needs with possibilities. And
that's what you do in AIN.
Yes, exactly. So I think the most important for me nowadays is to be where God wants me to stay and do what God wants me to do. So in this way, I'm completely okay. And I can understand this God's movement. And I have been learning a lot. I have no problem if tomorrow God say, hey, okay, now I have a new challenge for you. I think Patricia and I, my wife and I, we learned it. God has the final word. And the passage that have been part of our life in these past years is 16, when Paul has all planned to go to Asia, and God say, sorry.
You need to go to Europe.
Exactly.
Yeah, for which I am eternally grateful. Yeah.
God didn't say sorry, but it's like, sorry.
Yeah.
Your plans is not bad.
Yeah.
You are doing what I asked you to do.
Yeah.
But I have another direction for you.
Yeah, and that's been true in your lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what make me comfortable with all this change is because when I go to Africa in a few places where I have a Brazilians serving, and I know that with a very small drop, I was part of that process to mobilize them, to help them to go, to care them, to provide member care. And now they are doing a great ministry there. So this is a kind of refreshing for my heart. So I can remember me saying, oh God, why you didn't send me?
You cannot remember
No,
that.
I can't.
Yeah.
This guy's a real, because this is that they are real missionaries. They
Okay.
are here. No, God's always saying, you have a part of that.
And that sense of excitement that you played a small part in the lives of others. Yeah, I can understand that.
Exactly. So I had the opportunity to visit one country in North Africa many years ago. And I remember all the process. I remember when someone came to my office with 2 pictures. That time we didn't use a digital picture.
Okay.
It's a
This is
real printed.
prehistory.
Exactly.
This is, yeah.
So this guy came with these 2 pictures, one sheet with a few informations
Yes.
about one people group,
Yeah.
and $200.
Yeah.
And he gave me this. I visit this place in Africa. This is a UPG, rich people group in Africa, but I don't work in Africa. I work in the Middle East. You work in Africa. Here's the information. Here's the picture. Here's the money. Do something.
It's $200.
Yeah, that time was
That was a lot.
in
Okay.
terms of Brazilian currency.
Okay.
I remember we made a prayer card for that people group.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we started a movement of prayer. One day I was in my office and someone called, a pastor of one church called me and say, hey, Paulo, I want to talk with you because a few months ago someone came here and brought these prayer cards to us, and we start to pray for this people group, and God moved our heart. We start to raise money for a project among this people group. And I know that this is in Africa. I know that you work, or AIM work in Africa. Tell me more about this project. How can we send this money? We don't have any project.
Not yet.
We made this. We started pray for, but I don't know what to do. I don't have. Oh, but we want to send money for you. No, please don't send money for because we don't have any project. I don't want to take money for a project that we don't have. What can we do? Keep raising and keep the money. If God open opportunity, I call you. And then, short story. In about 6 months, I got about 4 or 5 same call from different churches.
Wow. In answer to this prayer movement.
Exactly. And then I remember, like today, a couple coming from another city, sit before me talking about their call for mission, their call to go to Africa to serve. And I asked them, you have idea where you want to go, what kind of a people group you want to work? And they take from their Bible one
of those prayer cards. Wow.
And he said, I don't know how, but someone gave us this. We have been praying for that. And this is the place where we want to go.
Wow.
I had the opportunity to receive them. I had the opportunity to send them. And I had the opportunity to know the first believer
from that
people group.
Wow.
I visit the place.
Wow. That's a work of God, isn't it? That whole process, beginning with prayer.
And God was telling me.
So an individual came to you, talked about the people group, gave you $200. You started a prayer movement. Yep. By God's grace, the rest is history.
Yeah. And I was there when he was baptized.
It's a privilege.
I was there to meet him, this guy, the first believer. And God was saying, you are doing a good part.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Even it's not the front line, but this is for what I call you to do.
Yeah, to play your part.
Exactly. And I'm happy.
Yeah. Paulo, that's a really encouraging example of God at work in answer to prayer, of different people coming together, collaborating, and so on. It's not always that wonderful and easy, is it? You have Latin American missionaries and others from the UK and every part of the world have often struggled in their host cultures, haven't they? Tell us a little bit about how the Latin American mission movement has grown in the last 40 years in helping people to acclimatize to cultures, in helping people to stay when they feel like giving up, in helping people to cope with the difficulties of living in another culture, learning another language, and all of that.
Yeah. I think this is the difficult for any new culture. It's not different for us.
No, absolutely.
And I think there's an element that have been helping us in Latino mission movement in this 40 years is the fact that things are not easy for one Latino to go to serve
Anywhere.
anywhere. Financially, find a good church partners, and the process normally take a lot of time. If you compare one Westerner missionary worker with one Latino, you will see that Latino take much more time to prepare themselves, to have all the kind of a support they need to go. Because that, we have been seeing Latinos spending much more time on field, take serious the process to learn language, to adapt for the culture. Doesn't mean that we are doing this very well. We have our own situations and problems. Sometimes we have few people selfish or too much proud and not really emerging in or being part of the culture. But I think because before to go, I want to make sure that I will do my because all this process takes too long, and I want to make sure that all this work is worthy for my ministry. That's why even nowadays we still having a few Latinos that are serving on field for more than 30 years, 35.
Yeah.
I know a Brazilian single lady that last year she completed 35 of ministry in Africa, and she is a 50s. That means she has even more time to serve. And this is another characteristic of the Latinos. They value the long-term ministries. So they know how is important culture, language, be part of the culture, the community.
So one of the things I'm hearing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you talked about economic challenges being one of the drivers that helped COMIBAM to be established, help people to work together. And I hear you saying that the economic challenges are one of the things that helps Latino and Latinas to persevere around the world, because it takes a long time before they go to...
Yeah.
So it's actually better to have economic challenges than to be financially...
I don't know. But the truth is, if you looking for the history of the sending in Brazil, for example, you will realize that we sent more people in times where we were facing a biggest challenge in our economy.
Wow.
Suppose should be the different. If I have more money, it's much more easy to send, but this is not the reality in Brazil. Maybe I become more selfish, looking for my own goods, and I believe that this is something that we need to be aware, and we need to pray that God can keep our heart, because nowadays I think the church in Latin America are rich. Money is not a problem. Even with some economic situations in some countries, doesn't mean that money is not available. So I have more money now. What I will do with the blessing of God? I will bless the nations, or I will build my own kingdom here. That's a challenge that we have now. I think the church has much more capacity nowadays in all ways. Technology, people, financially. Church has much more capacity nowadays to send people. The question maybe is, we are using all this capacity to do what God wants us to do, or we are looking much more for our own...
To build our own kingdoms and so on. Yeah. It's a good challenge, Paulo. We're going to begin to wind down, because this is roughly the length of the conversations that we have in this series, Faith Without Frontiers. But before we do, I want to give you an opportunity to add absolutely anything that you would like to say.
Yeah. First, thank you for this time. It's always is a great to share. First, what God is doing in Latin America, and opportunity to tell stories about what God are doing. I think what I want to share is Great Commission is for the church.
Mm-hmm. This is Jesus at the end of Matthew 28, going into all the world, preach the gospel, baptizing.
I think this is for the church. And when I'm saying church, I'm not saying necessarily the institution. I'm saying the body of Christ. And I think that we need to do our best to respond this, because God is doing his mission. And I think to be involved, in fact, it's a privilege for the church. More than one obligation is a privilege. It's basically, for me, I see mission as God inviting us to participate in what he's doing. He is doing. Mission belongs to him, and he is giving to us the opportunity to participate that. And I can see other kind of a privilege bigger than this one, to participate in what he's doing. And I don't want to be out of. And I hope the church, especially in the church in Latin America, they can understand that and they can participate with all blessing that God is giving to the church. I think the church is the key. Church is the key. And as pastors and leaders, we need to help our believers to understand that and to participate. Because normally I say, when I decide not to participate in God's mission, people groups will not lose anything, because there is a promise that every tribe, every nation, every people will be before the throne of God. So who is losing when we don't participate in the God's mission? If I decide not to participate, I will lose the opportunity to participate in what God is doing. It's his mission, and his promise is one day we will see this wonderful picture. People from different places, different tribes, different nations. I want to be there and say, wow, that's great to know that even with my little drop in the sea, I gave my life for that. So I think this should be all the desire of any believer these days.
Paulo Feniman of African Inland Mission International and COMIBAM, thank you very much indeed for spending this time with me, with us. I appreciate that. Thank you. And again, the background noise of the wind is a good noise, because it reminds us again that God is at work around the world.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Faith Without Frontiers. I hope you've been refreshed, stimulated, encouraged, and inspired by the conversation, perhaps even challenged. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please subscribe so that you don't miss the next story of faith in the series. And do consider sharing the podcast with friends, colleagues, or members of your church community. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and strengthen you as you serve him wherever he has placed you.